It is time for your favorite Android podcast from the crew of blindandroidusers.com. Kick back and enjoy another fine episode from these Google fanboys as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome to episode 45 of the Blind Android Users podcast. I'm Ed Green and I'm here with my co-hosts Warren Carr, Austin Pinto, Anna Gaza and Mariam Mohsen. On this week's show, we have the usual announcements from Austin. In our must-have apps category, it's all about Braille, and that's both apps to drive your Braille display and also apps to allow you to input Braille with a keyboard. The Spotlight section this week features iCan, another OCR and navigation app available for the blind. Then we move into Warren's Talkback highlights section. And finally this week, we have a My Android Journey section from Fee Dunn, and Fee will be contributing throughout the podcast. How are we all?
We are good. Beautifully.
We are doing well. Beautiful sunshine here today. I think we're probably going to get about 60 degrees. Who knows?
Nice.
I'm jealous.
So we're doing great. Whether there's fall things and Halloweeny stuff. So yeah, it's beautiful.
They let you do Halloween in Egypt?
Oh yeah, for sure. And we dress up and everything. It's so good.
And you go pyramid selling those pumpkins.
Yeah.
Oh, pyramid of pumpkins.
I would love to go trick-or-treating in one of the pyramids, you know? There's a beautiful place to go trick-or-treat, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get buried in pyramids. I'm not sure about that.
You go, oh my God. No.
That's what they're for.
It's
well, that's
spooky.
what they were for, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
Those
I don't know,
It would be quite good for Halloween though, wouldn't it? Because they're kind
brilliant.
of spooky and to do with
Eve, yeah.
to do with death and everything. But yeah.
Why didn't M.R. James write a Halloween story set in a pyramid? That'd have been ace. Maybe Mariam can write it.
the Sphinx. Yeah, for sure.
You should. Brilliant.
Is there an
That's your
Android app
homework.
yet? Is there an Android app yet? As the new person here, I'm just wondering so that one of you can send me some sunshine when it's a grey day here in West London.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I should take a picture from my backyard, and with all that maple all red out there in the backyard, it looks like fire, like the tree is on fire. I need to send you a picture of that fire. See?
Yeah, but then I can't.
Android,
I wouldn't be able to see it though, so it'd be a bit pointless.
what Android will let you do, which iOS won't, is change your location. So just change it to somewhere sunny.
Oh, true.
You should be able to
You
do
can
that
have
on
mock
Android.
location.
Will
Yeah,
it
no,
take
as
me
I
with
say,
it, though?
Android will, iOS won't.
Yeah, but
Dude,
will it let me
set a
take?
mo-
Will it take me to that nice country as well? Will it fly me there?
Try it.
Send me a little bit of warmth from here.
Yeah, it's brilliant because there are some apps that won't allow VPNs to circumvent their geo-blocking. So mock location in Android, pro tip, really good.
Blind Android Users is proud to partner with the folks from Gravity Forms. Gravity Forms has allowed us to ensure that our website is both accessible and easy to use with regards to our contact forms and other various forms found throughout the page. Thanks to Gravity Forms' dedication to accessibility and their compliance with all federal and jurisdictional laws relating to accessibility is appreciated. The Blind Android Users would like to thank the folks from Gravity Forms for sponsoring our license subscription to their WordPress plugin. If you'd like to know more about Gravity Forms, check them out online at gravityforms.com.
Austin, what's going on? Announcements, please.
Yeah, so for the announcements, we have got 2 or 3 announcements. The first one is it's celebration time. So we have just crossed 25,000 plays on our podcast over 44 episodes. Just done it before this episode, so it's celebration time. The next celebration time will be our episode 50. And after that, the celebration time will be the 1-year celebration in December. You can fill the form on our website or you can email us and then we will send you the link to Zoom if you want to attend either episode 50 or the 1 year celebration, or if you want to attend both, specify that in the email or answer the question in the form, and depending on that, we will send you the Zoom link. So that is it from the announcement section.
Now we turn to the must-have apps category this week, and it's all about Braille. And I suppose this breaks down into two parts. Firstly, how do you use a Braille display on Android? What are your options in terms of driving that display? We're not going to get into individual hardware because Braille displays are very expensive and we are very poor and we don't all own all the displays. So we're talking about the apps that you use to drive your displays on Android. And secondly, we're going to talk about keyboard input. So how do you write Braille, particularly if you don't have a display on your Android phone? So let's kick this off. Warren, do you want to introduce this or have some opening remarks?
Well, I think that Braille is getting there on Android. Is becoming very good, and the backbone to it all has to do with that BrailleBack, because BrailleBack is the one that drives Braille on Android, especially if one is going to be using a Braille display to pair it with their Android phone. So BrailleBack is the key. If you think of wanting to use a Braille display, you have to have that BrailleBack. Now, of course, then, we have the subject matter of virtual Braille keyboards and things like that. And of course, our own Anna demonstrated the Talkback Braille keyboard a little while ago here. And that's something that we've been wanting for a while. And now we see it here on Talkback. It's a welcome sight to see that we now have that virtual keyboard direct from within the Talkback. And so we're happy about that. So we're going to be talking about these things today. But the key here is, if you're going to be using a Braille display, you must have BrailleBack.
Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you how to connect your hardware Braille display to your Android device. I'm going to start by talking about how to pair your Braille display to your Android device. As you know, Android has Braille, but at the time of this recording, Braille is a separate app. We have a couple of options. The one developed by Google is called BrailleBack. Before pairing a display to your Android device, you need to install and enable a Braille app like BrailleBack by Google or BRLTTY by the BRLTTY team. If you do this, you'll know that you've paired successfully because, one, you're going to hear a chime when pairing happens. The chime is produced by the Braille app. And two, you're going to be able to read Braille on the display. Now, I've already installed BrailleBack from the Play Store. I'm just going to enable it now. So I need to go into Settings.
Settings. Profile picture. Double tap to open Google account. Button. Out of grid.
Then I'm going into Accessibility.
Accessibility. Display. Interaction. Audio. Settings. Accessibility. Out of list.
Now I'm going to go into BrailleBack.
BrailleBack. Off. Provide Braille output. Settings. BrailleBack. Out of list.
Excellent. I'm in BrailleBack. Now, most accessibility services have a very similar screen. In the top left corner is the Navigate Up button. About halfway down is a Use This Service icon.
Use BrailleBack. Off. Switch. In list.
Use BrailleBack, and we hear that it's off. Below that is an Options heading.
Options. Heading.
And then we usually have a couple of items.
BrailleBack shortcut. Hold volume keys. Off. Shortcut settings. Switch.
First, we have the shortcut item. This allows us to set a shortcut, usually by holding down both volume keys to turn this service on and off quickly. And the second item is usually
Settings.
Settings. Then below that we have a description of the app. Okay, I'm going to tap Use BrailleBack.
Use BrailleBack, off, switch. Allow BrailleBack to have full control of your device. Full control is appropriate for apps that help you with accessibility needs, but not for most apps. Out of list.
Okie dokie, that's an important warning we need to hear. Just for your information, at the very bottom of the screen we have
Uninstall button.
And then slightly above that, nearest the left edge, we have
Allow button.
And to the right of that,
Deny button. Deny.
So I'm going to tap Allow.
Allow button. Settings. Use BrailleBack on, switch, in list.
Okay, now we're back to that main BrailleBack screen where the use icon is and the options heading is and the shortcut and settings items are. Only this time it says use BrailleBack on. At this point, I am ready to start pairing my display. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is go into settings.
Pixel Launcher. Home. Out of list. Apps list. Search your phone and more. Edit box. Settings. Settings. Profile picture. Double tap to open Google account button.
And then into connected devices.
Connected devices. Bluetooth pairing. Settings. Connected devices. Out of list.
This screen has the typical navigate up button in the top left corner.
Navigate up button.
And then we have a list of options.
Pair new device in list.
Pair new device, we're going to tap that to start the pairing process, but not just yet.
Previously connected devices heading.
Previously connected devices. Normally I'd have a couple of devices below this, but since this phone is relatively new, I haven't paired very much yet.
Connection preferences, Bluetooth, Android Auto, driving mode, NFC.
Connection preferences, this is basically a settings option. And finally,
visible is Pixel 5 inches to other devices.
Visible is Pixel 5. If I want to check Bluetooth connections on my smartwatch or my Braille display, this is what I would look for. Okay, this moves pretty quickly. I'm going to turn my mini Sika on. I'm going to look for the Bluetooth option, press the joystick, it says wait, and then it says Bluetooth name TSM followed by a number. I'm going to tap.
Pair new device in settings. Pair new device out of list.
Now I'm hoping to find TSM.
Available devices TSM 0063.
Very good.
Pair with TSM 0063. Edit box out of list.
I need to enter
Switch
the
to
pairing
untracked Braille.
code, which is
Number
0.
0 0 0 0.
In many cases, it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Keyboard hidden.
I need to connect.
Not checked. Allow access to your checked.
Check an option for access and then OK.
Okay button.
Oops.
Settings. TSM 0063. Pairing disabled in list. Settings. Pair new device in list.
Beautiful. Okay. You heard that chime. That means that pairing was successful. And now on my Braille display, I can read pair new device. And we are good. Now we're going to move on to how to use BrailleBack. This is obviously just a very quick introduction for getting started. As I said earlier, you need to install BrailleBack from the Play Store. Then you need to go into Settings, Accessibility, BrailleBack, to turn BrailleBack on by tapping Use BrailleBack, then tapping the Allow checkbox on the warning screen. After that, you need to pair your Bluetooth Braille display. BrailleBack supports a short list of devices. They are APH Refresher Braille, Baum Barrio Connect, Baum Barrio Ultra, Essays, Euro Braille, Freedom Scientific, Focus Blue, 14 and 40 cell models, a number of Handytech displays, the Harpo Pen, Braille 12 and 12 Touch, HIMS Braille Sense and Braille Edge, Humanware Brailliant, first generation and Bi models, not the latest Brailliant Bi 20X or 40X. A couple of the Optilec Alba models, Orbit Reader 20, Papenmeyer Braille X Trio, and the Sika displays, both the mini and the 40 cell. Okay, to use BrailleBack, so first I'm turning on my display, putting it in Bluetooth mode. I found the Bluetooth option. I'm pressing it. The display says please wait, and then it says Bluetooth TSM, followed by a number. Now I'm going to wake up my phone by tapping the power button.
1:06 p.m. AT&T Wi-Fi calling.
That chime tells me that BrailleBack is working, and almost as soon as I hear it, my display also starts to reflect the Braille that has focus on the screen. And I just need to slide
Device
to
unlocked.
unlock.
Launcher. Home call.
And we are on the home screen. The Braille display reflects what's on the home screen. You just heard Talkback say home call, which is a telephone widget that I have. And sure enough, the display says home, followed by the word call in parentheses. Okay, what we're going to do now is go into BrailleBack to explore the settings. So I'm going into settings.
Apps list. Search your phone and more. Edit box. Settings. Settings. Profile picture. Double tap to open Google account button.
And then into accessibility.
Accessibility. Display. Interaction. Audio. Settings. Accessibility. Out of list.
Then into BrailleBack.
BrailleBack. On provide Braille output. Settings. BrailleBack. Out of list.
Remember, this is a very basic screen. We have navigate up in the top left corner, a description of BrailleBack at the very bottom, and in the center we have use BrailleBack.
Use BrailleBack. On. Switch. In list.
Then we have an options heading, followed by
BrailleBack shortcut. Hold volume keys. Off. Shortcut settings. Switch.
the BrailleBack shortcut item and
Settings.
BrailleBack settings. So let's tap BrailleBack settings.
Connected. BrailleBack. Device. Disabled. In list.
Device disabled. This is a heading. Okay. Items are presented in a list, so we're just going to move through that list.
Status. Connected.
Status connected. That means my display is connected. If BrailleBack were on but my display were off, it would say not connected. As I'm moving through these, my display is reflecting what Talkback is saying.
Keyboard help.
Keyboard help. I can tap this to get to a list of commands. We're going to do that in a minute, but right now we're just getting an idea of what's going on. Remember, the other way to access this list of commands is by pressing space with L, space dots 1, 2, 3 for list.
Braille. Disabled.
Braille disabled. Braille is a heading.
Braille type. Literary Braille.
Braille type literary Braille. We can tap this, and our options are computer Braille and literary Braille.
Literary Braille table. English United States grade 2.
Literary Braille table. I've selected English United States grade 2. We have quite a selection here. Lots of different languages. And for some languages, we have contracted and uncontracted Braille.
Computer Braille table. Auto English United States.
Computer Braille. Again, we have lots of languages.
Enable word wrapping. On. Switch.
Enable word wrapping. This puts complete words on the display.
Miscellaneous. Disabled.
Miscellaneous, this is another heading. And below that we have
Open source licenses.
open source licenses
Developer options.
and developer options. Okay, let's go back to keyboard help to review the list of commands.
Keyboard help. BrailleBack keyboard help. Navigate up, button, out of list. Use navigation keys to move focus on the screen. Use the Braille keys to enter text in an edit box. Below is a full list of key commands supported by your device.
As I said before, BrailleBack commands vary from Braille display to Braille display. This doesn't mean that every BrailleBack command is going to be different on every Braille display. It does mean that some commands will take advantage of the unique physical controls on different models. To give you an idea of what this means, I'll go through some BrailleBack commands. I have a Sika Mini. There's a button to the left of the line of Braille and another button to the right of the line of Braille. These buttons are called left and right. Below the line of Braille are two other controls. One is near the left end and the other is near the right end. These are the left and right joysticks. The first few commands from the keyboard help that we're going to go over are unique to the Sika Mini.
Pan right, right button, in list.
The right button pans right,
Pan left, left button.
and the left button pans left.
Navigate to the next item, right joystick right.
Navigate to the next item, right joystick right. So the right joystick is the one that I'm going to use to go to the next item.
Navigate to the previous item, right joystick left.
Previous item,
Navigate to the next line, right joystick down.
to the item below the current one in a grid,
Navigate to the previous line, right joystick up.
or to the item in the line above it, and so on. The next set of commands are probably shared by all displays.
Activate the back button, backspace plus dot 1 plus dot 2.
Backspace plus B,
Activate the home button, backspace plus dot 1 plus dot 2 plus dot 5.
home, space plus H,
Open the notifications window, backspace plus dot 1 plus dot 3 plus dot 4 plus dot 5.
notifications, space plus N,
Open the recent apps window, backspace plus dot 1 plus dot 2 plus dot 3 plus dot 5.
overview or recents, space plus R,
Toggle Braille grade, backspace plus dot 1 plus dot 2 plus dot 4 plus dot 5.
and change grade of Braille, space plus G. Now that we have BrailleBack working the way we want, it's time to use it. Navigating the screens and activating controls is a matter of using the commands from the keyboard help. Entering text, however, involves one additional step, at least the first time during each Braille session. Okay, I want to text my friend Cecile.
Cecile Harding said sorry, don't know what happened. 5:18 p.m. in list message list.
I was talking to my friend Cecile, and our call got dropped. I'm using the right joystick of my Sika Mini to navigate to the edit box.
Sorry, don't know what happened. Suggested reply, okay thumbs up. Add files, location, and more, button, out of list message list.
I'm using the right joystick down to arrow down. Now I'm going to use the right joystick right to locate the edit field.
Attach from camera or gallery, button. Text message, edit box.
All right, I'm at the edit box. I'm going to start writing a message, so obviously the first thing is .6 to capitalize.
Choose input method. Not selected, radio button, Braille hardware keyboard, in list.
Okay, so we have the choose input method screen. This is the one that comes up when we want to change keyboards. And as you noticed, Braille hardware keyboard is already selected. So I'm going to check this box using my Braille display. In this case, it's left joystick center or a routing key. Most of the time, you don't actually need to be in an edit box for the input method screen to come up. It comes up when you press one of the typing keys on your Braille display.
Cecile Harding said sorry, don't know what happened. 5:18 p.m. in list message list.
We're back on the text message. I need to right joystick down.
Sorry, don't know what suggested reply. Oh, add files, location, and more. Button,
And then
out
right
of list
joystick
message list.
right.
Attach from camera text message, edit box.
Okay, I'm back at the edit box. I'm going to press the left joystick center to start editing.
Showing BrailleBack.
That means my Braille display is active as a keyboard, so I can write. I'm going to say I will call you back when I'm done.
I replaced, space, will, space. Event of L, space. U, space, but, box, CK, space. When, space. I M, space. Do, quote, done, period.
I'll call you back when I'm done. Now, you noticed in a couple of cases, like in the word back and the word done, BrailleBack started to say but and do, which are contractions for the letter B and D, respectively. That's Talkback trying to anticipate what we're writing. The actual words that are on the display and on the screen are back and done. So contractions are not expanded until we hit space or some punctuation. All right, now I'm ready to send this message. I can press enter to send this message or use the right joystick to find the send message icon.
Explore emoji, button. Send SMS.
There it is. The next time you want to write without the Braille display, all you need to do is tap an edit box. Then in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll find
navigation bar, switch input method, button.
The switch input method icon. Tap it.
Keyboard hidden. Choose input method. Selected, radio button, Braille hardware keyboard, in list.
And you can tap whatever keyboard you like to use. I like to use the Braille Talkback keyboard, so that's what I'm going to tap.
Not selected, radio button, Talkback Braille keyboard.
One final tidbit. To make working with a Braille display a smooth experience, there is a particular order in which things need to happen. First, turn on the Braille display. Set it to Bluetooth. Then wake up the phone by tapping the power button.
8:12 p.m. AT&T Wi-Fi calling.
There's the chime to let us know we're connected. Let's unlock the phone.
Device unlocked.
When you're done brailing, put the phone to sleep first by tapping the power button.
Screen off.
Then turn off the Braille display. Next time, everything should work smoothly.
Thanks very much, Anna. I think it is worth saying that there are other ways to use a Braille display on Android. Well, one other way, and that is BRLTTY. That, though, I think, Warren and Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, is probably not a venture for the faint-hearted.
You know, some people really like it and they prefer it to BrailleBack. They say it's more stable and blah, blah, blah. But I personally have had a better experience with BrailleBack. I find BRLTTY a little too complicated to learn, in the sense that when I set up my Braille display, I just want to use it. I don't want to remind myself what the commands are and so on. And it's with BRLTTY, I have to spend time doing that.
Just to add to what Anna says, BRLTTY indeed is a great app, and most especially now that we have it on the Play Store as to what it used to be, where you had to go hunt for it and find and download the APK. We do have it now on the Play Store. Now, the problem with BRLTTY, and I'm not putting BRLTTY, Dave is my buddy. He's doing a great job. Absolutely. The problem is that you have to do all those settings like Anna indicated, and it could be a little bit too involved if you're not really knowing what you are doing when you compare it to BrailleBack. And especially with BrailleBack, it seems to follow the standard. People are familiar with the space G to change, grades, or, whether you want a UAB, uncontracted Braille, computer Braille, and all of that. Now, if you don't know that, with the BRLTTY, it's different. You got to use space with dots 2, 3, and 5, or you have to go into the options or preferences, and it's not within the app itself. You have to do that on the keyboard, and it gets a little bit too involved from that point. And I'm hoping, though, that Dave would kind of adapt to the standard where people could easily switch using that space with letter G. And also, it would be nice to have those settings within the app itself, because that's the first place that when one is working with an app, it would go to is to go into the settings within the app there and fine tune that app to how you want it to work from right within that app itself as to going elsewhere. So those are some of the weaknesses that I see in BRLTTY. Otherwise, it's a great app. And right now, it doesn't work with Kindle. Text on Kindle just does not show up there on BRLTTY. And I know Dave was going to work on it, but so far, that hasn't happened yet.
And speaking of that, I think that one of the problems with Braille output and Android is that you have a very hit and miss experience in terms of reading on Kindle, on playbooks, on things like that. Some things work well and some things don't. And sometimes you have to use the screen to turn the page or things like that. So that's still hit and miss. I was playing around with the Bard app, which is supporting Braille, and it's coming along as well. But again, it's sort of a bumpy experience on Android, though we do have Braille, and I know that's a work in progress.
I find the same with my Braille display. I can change, I think, the next page on a Kindle. I can't, though, change a previous page. So to flip back, I can't do.
Talking about the Bard, that's another thing that just came along now, supporting Braille. Now, I think that Bard only does stuff that are coming direct from Bard. You can't say, here, I have some ebook elsewhere that I'm going to import into Bard.
Right.
Anna, is it possible to import something other than from within Bard to use with Bard?
I don't think you can import anything else. And for those of you in other countries, Bard is the talking book library for the blind here in the United States. It's the downloadable website for that.
This has been the sticky point of BrailleBack, most especially when one cannot go to the next page and things like that. That's been the Achilles heel here when it comes to Android and Braille, and hence the reason why sometimes if someone is deafblind, we kind of say, hey, if you're already on the Fruitvale side of things, that's iOS. You might as well want to stay there if you rely heavily on Braille, because it's important that you are able to flip pages without touching the screen. So if that does not bother you, then you can jump on Android and use BrailleBack. It works well. It's better than what it used to be.
Another weak area in Braille for Android is when you're going to, if you use a pin to unlock your screen, you cannot use Braille for that.
So in other words, if you set your hardware keyboard, Braille hardware keyboard to your preferred input method, and you switch off the phone and turn it back on, it gets to the pin, the screen where you need to put in your pin, you're not going to be able to use your Braille. You have to use the on-screen keyboard, because at that point, your BrailleBack or Braille hardware is not going to show up there.
Does that
Wow.
apply to all hardware keyboards, or is that to all hardware keyboards, or does that just apply to when BrailleBack is running?
I think based on web listserv traffic, people do it, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering whether that's a BrailleBack limitation or an Android limitation.
I'm going to check that and see if it actually works, because I think it probably would.
Why do you have to have this annoying input thing? Because when I use a Bluetooth keyboard, it just works. And it says Samsung keyboard hidden, because at the moment I'm just using the Samsung keyboard. But if I connected a Braille thing, I get this annoying dialogue. I was like, there's just no need for this. I don't have it on my fruitful iPhone. Sorry. It just annoys me a lot every single time. I don't want to select my input as one or the other. I just want the Braille to work, and then when the Braille's not there, the keyboard to work. I don't need all this faffing about. Why do they do that? Does anyone know?
Well, that's just because Android is, super. It is so customizable that it can be annoying sometimes. But yes, before you actually enter text, for those of you who have not done it, on a Braille display, you'll get a pop-up that says you need to change your input method to hardware Braille keyboard. And yes, you get it every time. And then when you disconnect your hardware display, and you want to use your on-screen keyboard or something else, that'll come up again. But the same thing happens when you use your QWERTY. So,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Well,
I
it does
use
ask
QWERTY
you
every day.
Yeah, you're right. But it'll ask you to configure it, Mine does anyway.
Yeah, it still shows up there in the notification area that, hey, you need to configure.
Ask me to, I don't have to do anything.
Will it do that if you set the Braille keyboard as default?
Yes,
if you set the Braille keyboard as a default and you don't have it on, it will not trigger your virtual keyboard. So I see what Fiona is saying is that if you have the Bluetooth keyboard as your default, for example, you pair it and it automatically goes to that. But if you turn off that Bluetooth keyboard, your on-screen keyboard will automatically come on. Well, that is not the case if you have the hardware Braille keyboard going on where it is the default and you turn it off, your virtual keyboard is not going to come on. So I see what she's saying. If it would be made to where if it's not present, then default back to the on-screen keyboard, I think that would be the most preferred.
But if it is present
to the Braille keyboard when it is
present.
if
it is present, just let me use it. Don't give me all this nonsense.
Yeah.
Sort it out, Google. And while I'm at it, BrailleBack. Why do I need BrailleBack?
I'm gonna turn on that British wrath on Google.
But why isn't BrailleBack part
You don't want to mess
Talkback?
with a British woman.
Well, I think the goal is that BrailleBack will eventually disappear, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Yeah. No, I think things are going to get better, just like with everything else. And we're always, evolving and changing and becoming better and better. Now, because if you are coming back from like 6-7 years ago, you remember, Anna, that thing was really bad. BrailleBack was absolutely bad. And
I remember that.
Yes.
But within the last couple or so years, we've seen a little bit better improvement in BrailleBack, of course. So I'm absolutely sure that things are just going to get better. So we just have to be patient. If we've waited this long, we should still be able to wait for a little bit longer, right?
At least they're not playing us annoying hold music while we wait.
Okay,
Well, and I think a good sign that things are improving is the on-screen Braille keyboard. That just sort of came up out of nowhere, and to me, it's a sign that BrailleBack has not been neglected.
Yeah. So we'll be good. We'll be good. Things will get better.
Now, I also would like to mention that on Samsung phones in particular, at least that's my experience. When you have an on-screen Braille keyboard, I think it happens with the Braille keyboard, Talkback Braille keyboard. So, when I have my fingerprint as like to unlock my screen, and I restarted my phone, on Samsung phones, you have to enter your PIN. So actually, it won't let you enter that even if you're using an on-screen keyboard. Not only with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It will either go back to the Google keyboard if you're using the Talkback Braille keyboard. But if you're using the ABK, you will get stuck. Sometimes actually it doesn't know where to go. So sometimes it goes to the Samsung keyboard, sometimes it doesn't, which is I think is a problem. So yeah.
I just want to manage everybody's expectations. I've just checked this while Mariam's talking. Warren said that Dave Milkett is doing a great job. I think we can set the bar lower. At least Dave Milkett is doing a job. The last time BrailleBack was updated was May 2020. We ain't moving very quickly,
that's fairly recently. That's not too long ago.
Very recently.
That's a year ago.
It's 18 months ago.
Come on, guys. Give the guys a break.
Yeah, but they've all been in lockdown. Why haven't they been programming this stuff during lockdown? I mean,
they managed to push out anything else. Every other Android developer's managing. If that wasn't a Google app, Google would be writing to the developer going, "Come on, update your app, or we're pulling it."
May little faith.
It's on 0.9. It's on 0. Something, folks. It's not even on version 1.
Wow.
Wow, Wowingtons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dave is at least updating BRLTTY or BRLTTY or however you pronounce it.
But you can tell it's on 0. something.
I know you can.
Some of the things that don't work properly.
Well,
exactly.
The other thing as well.
And I mean, that's what that means. It means that it's technically not a stable release when it's before.
And how long is it not being a stable release, Anna?
How
long has it not been a... Yeah, lots of years.
Lots of years, but things are happening. Trust me.
They're not.
Trust me.
It's 18 months away.
Would I lie to you? Would I lie to you?
That's a TV show.
Fee,
and a song.
Fee, here's the problem, though. Yes, things are slow, of course, not at the pace that we would like them to be. But I believe that these things are just going to get better because, again, like I said earlier, look back to where we came from. Come on, guys. Give those guys a little break, shall we?
BrailleBack is so bad that iOS Braille support is better. And iOS Braille support is rubbish, folks.
So you came along.
Yeah, but I use it.
BrailleBack.
I know, but you use it because you have to, but iOS Braille support is bad. Like, it's bad. And BrailleBack's worse.
Yeah, but I'm not taking my laptop to church and fire it. That'd be really annoying.
I do the same thing in church. I read the lesson.
We've given BrailleBack a lot of bidding today, guys. We've just bid BrailleBack up, down, left, and right.
Yeah, Google are big enough to take it.
I think so. Anyway, so we started to talk about Braille keyboards. Anna touched on the Talkback Braille keyboard. Now I am going to demonstrate what will be the first in a series on the advanced Braille keyboard. Hello everyone, I'm Ed Green, and this week I'm going to be demonstrating the app Advanced Braille Keyboard. I had thought I could cover the app's features in one demonstration, but to be honest, there's so much in it that I think I'm going to return to it in future podcast episodes. This week, I'll tell you a little bit about the app, we'll set it up, and I'll go through some of the settings. And then in future episodes, I'll explore its functionality a little further. So what is Advanced Braille Keyboard? As its name suggests, it is a way to write Braille on your Android device. Many of you will be familiar with the Talkback Braille keyboard, which is a nice innovation, and it's great that it exists, but it is pretty limited in functionality. Advanced Braille keyboard has a rich array of features. First of all, it supports many languages, both through its built-in Braille engine and also the LibLewis Braille tables, with which you might be familiar. Jules, I think, switched to using those as well, or LibLouis. I'm not quite sure what the pronunciation ought to be. Probably LibLouis, as Louis Braille is French. Many languages are supported by LibLouis, and hence incorporating that into Advanced Braille keyboard means that it supports many languages, both modern and ancient. There's even Sanskrit if you want to write in Sanskrit Braille and explore that. It supports Braille screen input in the usual two methods, so tabletop or laptop layout as they call it, or screen away mode, or I think two-hand outward is how Advanced Braille keyboard describes that method, so that is supported. You can also enter Braille with a hardware QWERTY keyboard should you wish to, so the home row will become your Braille keys, so FDS 1, 2, 3, JKL 4, 5, 6. So if you want to write Braille hardware with a hardware keyboard, there's no need to invest in a dedicated Braille hardware keyboard unless you particularly want to, if you have this app. The other really nice thing that the app does is it has quite powerful editing features. So you can move your cursor around, you can select text both by selecting all, and you can mark places in the text where you want to select it. You can cut and copy it. So all sorts of things you can do with this that you can't do with the Talkback Braille keyboard. It also lets you customize and add Braille tables. It's using LibLouis, so that is open source, and you can do that in the app and add, copy different Braille tables to your device in the right folders, and it will use those Braille tables. And it also has a map function if you want to understand sort of key maps and bindings for your particular Braille language. So hugely powerful apps. I've kind of skated over its features there, really. And as I say, I want to return to some of them in a second, possibly a third demonstration. I might be able to get it done in two, but there's certainly more, I think, to cover than I can do justice to in one episode. It's not a free app. It's £10 in the Play Store in the UK. I'm guessing the dollar equivalent will be, or the dollar price will be roughly equivalent, perhaps a little more. But I hope you get the sense from that feature set that that there is a lot here that you don't get with the Talkback Braille keyboard, particularly I suspect with our listenership, the different languages that this supports, where English might not be the only language you want to write in. So enough from me. I'm now going to unlock my phone and we'll... 0958. There we go. So I have uninstalled the app and reinstalled it. I could have cleared its cache and data, but I chose to do it this way. So hopefully when we set it up, we will be starting from scratch. So I'm going to open the app now.
Allow Advanced Braille keyboard to record audio while using the app button. Double tap to activate.
So I'm going to allow its various permissions. I think it must have voice input as well. I haven't actually explored that, but I can't see why else it would want to record audio.
Allow Advanced Braille keyboard to access photos, media, and files on your device. Allow button.
We want it to do that. It needs to access its Braille tables, otherwise it's not going to be in right lot of use. We want it to be able to do other things as well.
Advanced Braille keyboard. Enable Braille keyboard button. Double tap to activate.
As with any keyboard, we need to go and enable it in keyboard settings. I'll do this now. Just double tap on this.
Manage on-screen keyboards. Back button.
So we're in our usual keyboard settings dialog here. So I'm just going to explore this.
Manage on-screen keyboards. Search settings. Board. Multilingual typing on. Talkback Braille keyboard on. Advanced Braille keyboard off.
This is what we want. It's currently
off.
Double tap
to activate. Attention. This input method may be able to collect all the text you type, including personal data such as passwords and credit card numbers. It comes from the app Advanced Braille keyboard. Before use, you should read their privacy policy, terms of user guidelines, if applicable. Use this input method out of list. Cancel. OK button.
We do want to use the input method, so I will hit OK.
Note. After a reboot, this app can't start until you unlock your phone. Cancel. Button. OK button.
Fine.
Manage on-screen keyboards. Advanced Braille back button out of list.
So I'm now going to hit
navigation bar back
the back button here, and that will take us back to the permissions it needs.
Please enable APK accessibility overlay. Accessibility. Back button. Accessibility. Search settings. Services. Heading. And APK screen overlay off.
So we want to turn this on, and we're going to get another warning.
APK screen overlay. Back button out of APK screen overlay. Use service off. Switch and list. Allow APK screen overlay to have full control of your device. Full control is appropriate for apps that help you with accessibility needs, but not for most apps. Out of list. View and control screen. It can read all content on the screen and display content over other apps. View and perform actions. It can track your interactions with an app or a hardware sensor and interact with apps on your behalf. Allow button. APK screen overlay. Use service on. Switch and list.
And I'm going to hit the back button again to take us back into the app.
Navigation bar. Accessibility. APK screen overlay on and list. Navigation bar. Back.
Do it again.
Advanced Braille keyboard. Enable Braille keyboard. Button. Switch to Braille keyboard. Button. Set up Bluetooth keyboard. Button. Settings. Button.
And it's settings I want to go to. Before I go much further, I should say that when you are using the keyboard, if you are using Talkback, you will need to suspend Talkback because the Braille screen input methods will conflict with Explore by Touch. You don't have to turn commentary off. Commentary will take care of itself.
Data with storage service.
So, but for Talkback, do have that shortcut set up, the accessibility shortcut, so that you can toggle it off and on again relatively straightforwardly with the volume buttons, certainly on non-Samsung devices anyway. Do have that enabled because, as I say, you will need to suspend Talkback when using the Braille keyboard. For the remainder of this demonstration, I'm going to go through the settings. I want to set this up anyway because I've uninstalled it, so there's sort of a point to do this. We're on the settings already, so I'll double tap.
Settings, languages, and list.
Languages is the top setting. This is quite important. I want to go in here.
Languages. Start with default language, not ticked. Tick box and list.
I do want to start. I do want it to start in the default language, so I'll tick this.
Select Braille engine. Braille engine. Set Libellus engine languages. Braille engine.
So we will select the Braille engine.
Cancel. Ticked. Libellus and list.
So it is set to LibLouis at the minute, which will give you more languages. Some of the LibLouis Braille tables can be a bit problematic. So, for instance, there are issues with the UK Standard English Braille, or Sensible English Braille as I call it, grade 2 table. But nonetheless, I think I am going to stick with LibLouis and see how we go. But I could choose
APK built-in
if I wanted to.
Toggle.
So I'm happy with LibLouis.
Cancel. AP ticked.
So I'm going to back out of
Navigation
that.
Bar. Languages. Braille engine and list. Set Libellus engine languages.
So we'll set the LibLouis engine language now.
Set Libellus engine languages. Set default language and list. Default language. Double tap to activate. Tick the required languages given below. Spanish grade 2. Ticked. Tick box.
So below default is some secondary languages we can have if we want.
Data with storage service.
So if you do enter multilingual Braille, then you will want to check some secondary languages in this list. But I'm going to concern myself with the default language just for now.
Default language. Cancel. Turkish grade 1 and list.
So it's landed us pretty randomly in the middle of the list. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but we've landed on Turkish. I'll swipe up to English just to give you a flavour of some of the languages. If I get bored, I'll scroll, but just to give you a flavour of what it supports.
Swana grade 1, Tibetan grade 1, Telugu grade 1, Tamil grade 2, Tamil grade 1, Swedish grade 1, Swedish computer 1996. Swedish computer 1989, Swedish 1996 standard.
Well, the Swedes change their Braille code a lot, don't they?
Spanish grade 2, Spanish computer, Spanish, Sotho grade 1, Sarani Kurdish grade 1, Slovenian 8. Computer Braille, Slovene grade 1, Slovak official, Slovak grade 1, Sinhala, Sindhi grade 1, Simplified Chinese, Serbian grade 1, Sanskrit grade 1, Russian literary.
There's your Sanskrit look.
Russian grade 1, Russian computer, Russian, Romanian, Punjabi grade 1, Portuguese grade 1, Portuguese computer, Portuguese Brazil grade, Portuguese Brazil, Polish grade 1, Polish computer, Persian, Pali, Korea grade 1. Norwegian grade 2. Norwegian grade 1. Norwegian literary. Norwegian generic. Norwegian computer braille. Nepali grade 1.
So this is the benefit of LibLouis, I guess. All these Braille tables.
Munda. Mongolian grade. Marwari. Marathi grade 1. Maori Braille. Manipuri grade 1.
Maori there for New Zealanders.
Maltese. Malayalam grade 3. Malay grade 2. Malay grade 1. Lithuanian 8. Lithuanian. Latvian grade 1. Kurg.
I think you get the point. Lots of languages. Some of which I've never even heard of. So let's do a little bit of a scroll.
German computer braille. Synchronized. French computer braille. English UK grade 1. English UK grade 2.
That was a fortuitous bit of scrolling. I didn't think I'd land that accurately, but there we are. English grade 2 is what I want.
Set LibLouis engine languages. Default language. Enlist. Double tap to activate.
So that is set. Might be quite nice if it told me what it was. I think I'd like to see it do that, but nevertheless, I have confidence that I've set it properly.
Set default language.
So I'm going to back
Navigation
out.
bar. Bengali grade 1.
But we could go and set some secondary languages, as I said. So
Bengali, Awanti grade 1. Assamese grade 1. Not ticked. Armenian. Not ticked. Arabic grade 2. Arabic grade 1. Arabic computer braille. Afrikaans grade 2. Afrikaans grade 1. Unified English grade 2. Ticked. Tick box.
I don't need any other languages, so I'm going to uncheck these.
Unified English grade 1. Ticked. Spanish grade 2. Ticked. Tick the required languages given below.
So Spanish and UEB, it defaulted to having ticked. I don't want them. So I've unticked them. Let's back out of here.
Languages. Set LibLouis engine languages. Enlist.
I've done that.
Set built-in engine languages. Double tap to
There are
activate.
fewer built-in engine languages. Let's just go have a little look in here to see what you've got.
Set built-in engine languages. Set default language. Enlist. Default language.
We'll do that again. Go into
Cancel.
default.
Ticked. English. Enlist. Message. English grade 2. Ticked. English. Dutch. Ticked. English grade. Finish.
So there's only one
Double tap to
variant
toggle.
of English, you see, whereas had I explored, we would have found, well, you heard about UEB, we would have found US English if I'd explored it. So not unreasonably, I think, given the extensive support offered by LibLouis, there is, a limited number of languages in here.
French. Georgian. German. Hindi. Hungarian. Italian. Kannada. Lithuanian. Malay. Malayalam. Nepali. Norwegian. Numerical.
So we've only got one Norwegian Braille code, and we had approximately 750 million, I think, in the LibLouis selection. So I'll back out of this. But you've got good options here too if you don't like LibLouis Braille tables. And as I said, there might be reasons you don't. So I shall back out.
Navigation bar. Set built-in engine languages. Default navigation
We've
bar.
set it.
Languages. Set built-in engine languages. Enlist.
I'll back out of
Navigation
here
bar.
again.
Settings. Languages. Braille. Double tap
Let's
to
go
activate.
have a look at the Braille options.
Braille. Simple mode. Simplified Braille for kids and beginners by avoiding contractions and abbreviations. Not ticked. Tick box. Enlist. One hand mode. Type using one hand by separating Braille combinations of first and second half. First 1, 2, 3 turns to 4, 5, 6. Not ticked. Tick box.
So really
Double tap
useful
to
if
activate.
you aren't able to use both hands. It does have a one-hand Braille mode.
Conventional Braille mode. Follow same rules of Braille instead of a Nicode based. Ticked. Tick box.
I think we
Double
do
tap
want
to
conventional
activate.
Braille.
Space to expand abbreviation. Ticked. Tick box. Auto insert space after abbreviation. Ticked. Tick box. Capitalize first character of sentence. Ticked. Tick box. Capitalize first character of line. Not ticked. Tick box.
So quite a lot in there.
Navigation
I'll back out.
Settings. Braille. Braille screen input. Double
Braille
tap to
screen
activate.
input. We want to have a look at this.
Braille screen input. General. Enlist. Braille screen type. Change the way of arranging buttons representing dots. Braille type. Change the number of dots. Literary 6 or computer 8. Double command hold delay. Change milliseconds to become combination to command. Transparency. Change Braille screen transparency to view written text. Privacy. Not ticked. Tick box. Double tap
So
to activate.
there's a screen curtain or privacy mode here. You can activate that with a gesture as well.
Play letter typing sound. Not ticked. Tick box.
Do you want it
Double tap to
to play a noise when you type a letter? If you don't, there's no haptic and it's entirely silent. You are literally just tapping on a screen.
Synchronizing
It
data
will
with
feel
storage
like
service.
you are tapping on a locked screen for all the response you've got, assuming you've got touch to wake disabled, obviously. So you won't get anything by way of sound or haptic if you don't tick this.
Invert gesture direction. Not ticked. Tick box. Haptic feedback, not ticked, tick box.
So we can
Double
have
tap to
haptics
activate.
without letter sound. I think I'm going to do that.
Speech, ticked, tick box. Double text-to-speech engine. Double tap to activate.
So we can use whatever text-to-speech engine we want, either system default or set another one. It'll show all your installed TTSs if you go in here.
Typing echo. Double tap to activate.
So typing echo is either off, characters, words, or both, which I think is really handy.
Speak password, not ticked, tick box. Double tap to
You
activate.
can have it speak passwords if you want.
High pitch. Always announce welcome message, ticked, tick box.
There's
Double
a
tap
welcome
to
message.
activate.
That is when the keyboard itself is displayed. Obviously, we're in the app at the minute and we didn't get a welcome message. So that relates to when the keyboard becomes available.
Customize touch hold commands. Customize gesture commands. Synchronizing data with storage service.
We can change it to
Double tap
gestures.
to act. Navigation bar. Settings. Braille screen and physical keyboard.
I don't
Double tap
use
to
a physical
activate.
keyboard, so I'm not going to go in there.
Advanced settings. Sounds. Double tap
Let's look at
advanced
advanced
settings.
settings.
Advanced settings. Change following options very carefully in list. Braille screen input gesture sensitivity. Change the discrimination between typing and swiping. An increase will prioritize swipe over typing. Braille screen input gesture drag length. Change minimum swipe length for recognizing gestures.
So we won't
Navigation
mess about
bar.
with that, I don't think.
Settings.
We shall
Advanced
heed the
settings.
warning.
Sounds. Secondary keyboard. Sounds.
So we've got
Double
sounds.
tap to
I'll have a quick
activate.
look in here.
Sounds. Set sound theme in list. Theme. Set each sounds. Opening. Calibrated. Not assigned. Type. Type uppercase. New line. Closing.
So you can have all sorts of different sounds for when it does different things, if that's what you want.
Navigation bar.
Come out of here.
Settings. Sounds. Secondary keyboard.
So secondary
Double tap to
keyboard.
activate.
There are various things you can do. You can close it, or you can move to next keyboard with a gesture. So that moving to next gesture will determine whether it does in fact move to a next keyboard or whether it brings up a list of keyboards. I think I do want it to move to a keyboard. I want it to move to Gboard without asking me every time. I don't think I'll want to switch from this to the Talkback Braille keyboard, for instance. So I'm going to go and change this.
Cancel. Ticked. Show keyboard selector and list. Last used keyboard. Ticked. Show keyboard selector. Settings. Secondary keyboard and list. Voice input. Restore to default settings. Voice in. Secondary keyboard. Sounds. Advanced settings. Sound. Secondary keyboard.
So secondary keyboard, it closed me
Cancel.
out when I
Ticked.
did that.
Show keyboard
Interesting.
selector and list. Last used keyboard. Settings. Secondary keyboard and list.
That's why. So
Double tap to activate.
they were radio buttons, not checkboxes. So I could either have show a list of keyboards or last used keyboard. Those are my options. I can't actually go in and set it to switch to a specific keyboard unless it was the one I last used. I think that's fair enough. I tend to use. Well, I used to use Gboard and Talkback Braille keyboard. Now I'm going to switch between this and Gboard most of the time. So I'm happy that it does that.
Voice input.
We're going to have a look at
Double tap to
voice
activate.
input. You'll remember that it asked if we wanted to record audio.
Digital Assistant app. Back. Button. Digital Assistant app. Search settings. Default Digital Assistant app. Google. And list. Settings. Button. Use text from screen. Allow the Assist app to access the screen contents as text. On. Switch. Use screenshot. Allow the Assist app to access an image of the screen. On. Switch. Flash screen. Flash edges of screen. When Assist app accesses text from screen or screenshot. Off. Assist apps can help you based on information from the screen that you're viewing. Some apps support both launcher and voice input services to give you integrated assistance. Back. Button. Out of list.
I haven't really
Settings.
explored it enough
Voice
to
input
know
and list.
quite how we would
Double
use
tap to
voice
activate.
input in that scenario, unless it's that it will let you braille into the assistance app instead of speaking to it. Could well be, but I probably need to do a little bit more digging into that to see what it does.
Restore to default settings.
And we can restore defaults if we weren't careful and didn't heed its warning in the advanced settings. So those are the settings, and I am going to leave it there this week. And next week, we will look at typing and editing.
I've got to say, I'm quite impressed by this app. It does a lot more than I thought it did, and I'd like to thank the developer for very generously giving me a coupon code so that I could demonstrate the app for free. As I said in the demo, it's a £10 app, but it is also an editor and it allows you to braille on a QWERTY keyboard. So you don't necessarily need a Braille keyboard in order to be able to write Braille. So a very nice app with a huge number of languages supported. I've got to say I was quite impressed. Mariam, you use it, don't you, or you have it?
Yeah, I use the advanced Braille keyboard especially because it's kind of, I think, much easier and it's actually more flexible, I would say. And also with the editing gestures, like you could copy and paste and everything, I do like it.
Now, there is a chance to win a redeemable code for the advanced Braille keyboard. We are going to offer one lucky winner access to this app. As I say, it costs about $10, 11 or 12. Did you say? Sorry, £10, $11 or $12. Did you say, Warren?
It's $11.99. Yeah, $12 to be precise.
So in order to be able to win this, please email us at contactus@blindandroidusers.com and let me know which screen reader do you not have to suspend in order to be able to use the advanced Braille keyboard. Which screen reader do you not have to suspend in order to be able to use the advanced Braille keyboard? The first lucky winner will get a code. I'll tell you what, if we're running 6-4 the field, I'm backing Martin Brown to win this. He has won our last two competitions. He's a Speedy Gonzalez off the mark boy. I might be wrong. Someone else might get it, but he has been successful in our last couple.
And now a word from our sponsor, the world's most trusted WordPress backup, restore, and clone plugin. Hacking, server crashes, dodgy updates, or simple user error can ruin your WordPress site. That is why you need Updraft Plus. Install Updraft Plus to protect your WordPress-powered site by visiting updraftplus.com. That's updraftplus.com. UPDRAFTPLUS.com. We thank Updraft Plus for sponsoring this episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast.
For our Spotlight section this week, I'm delighted to say that we're joined by Nimish and Suryanshu, developers of the iCan app, which is currently in beta. Welcome, guys. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm doing fine. How are you, Ed?
Oh, all well here. Slightly grey day on a Sunday lunchtime in London, but all well. Nimish, can you tell us a little bit about iCan, where the idea came from, and what the app does?
All right, sure. So the story goes aligned with the path when I was interning in a company, and this was in my second year of college. And just to give you a context, me and Suryanshu are the batchmates, and we have just completed our graduation almost 2 months back. Right? So I was interning in a tech-based company, and there I was researching on this deep technology that deals with object detection data. And I something felt like, object detection data is something which is very scarce, and if you wanted to do for some category of users, not just for blind users, you have to generate your own data. Now that's where the idea kicks in the mind, and the idea was very simple, and we had to provide outdoor navigation in a sense that a person or a blind person could be able to just identify the object, what is the object coming in front of him. Second, at what distance the object is coming, and third, what he has to do. Let's say he's walking a footpath and an object is coming. Let's say a person is coming on a 10 feet, 8 feet, 5 feet, etc. And what a person has to do, like he has to just stand, move right or move left. So this was the idea. We want to make a visually impaired people can move out independently without any support beyond their own. So with this idea, we have started this iCan, and so long story short, this was the idea that kicks in the mind.
That's great. And you said you were interning in a tech company, I think. And Suryanshu, what's your background?
So while the Nimish was interning in the tech company, I was here working doing volunteership in organizations, youth organizations like ISEC and Rotaract, where I was, from the very beginning, I was very keen to work for social sectors. So I chose to, start working for volunteer organizations. And now I did a lot of events with them. And, from the very beginning, the youth organizations are my thing, that, working with team, creating an impact, creating a difference in the world was my, keen interest from the very beginning. And side by side, we were also understanding the business as we were doing bachelor's of business administration. So yeah.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Can you tell us a little bit about ICANN as it stands now? Obviously, you talked about navigating, walking down footpaths, getting to know sort of the object data, where the object is. Can you talk to us about the feature set that ICANN has at the minute? What can the app currently do?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll talk about in two segments. I think after me complete, so that you can add on to. So right now the current offering has established into three parts. So basically we provide three big features, big category. First of all, maps, in which a user can use, let's say a user wants to go to any location, from A to point B. So in our application, this is totally visually compatible. He can easily access to our application. Second thing is that the surrounding into which we tell a user what is coming in front of them. We can tell you what is the particular object. Let's say a smartphone, is a watch, is a laptop, anything like that. Although, or you can just click a picture and it will tell you what is happening in your surrounding. For example, like two person on a bike are moving forward, etc. And the third category is the read feature. Read feature is something like that, which is very essential or important for a visually impaired. This is the completely necessary. So in our application, a person can read a text, let's say book, hard book, newspapers, etc. He can play around with the PDF, like he can just multi-language in the PDF segment. He can move to different pages. And the third option is he can play around with the image segment. Like he can just share the image from WhatsApp, Telegram, or any other application to our application, and it can just read out what is the information presented. So this is the current offering which we are giving right now. And Sudhanshu, would you like to add something in it?
Sure, Nimish. So, like Nimish rightly mentioned about all the features and the read, how a person can play with the documents. So it's our daily needs, that how a particular man starts his day. For example, he needs a newspaper. He reads a lot of documents. He wants to. If a student is there, he reads a lot of. His whole education depends on these documents. So that was the very first motive to introduce this feature, wherein a person can read the document. And while reading the document, we make sure that he gets that experience of education. It's not just like the computer is just speaking out those words and all. We are trying to give them just an experience, an audiobook experience, basically, wherein a person is understanding about and a person is taking an experience of what he is reading. And also we give translation feature, because here in India, most of the people speak Hindi. Now, the most of the documents which are in English, they can easily translate that. They don't need anyone. So we here at ICANN believe that everyone should be independent in their own task, and we are on a mission to make visually impaired independent. Now, what we here try to do is that everything, end-to-end things, can be translated so that a person doesn't need anybody, even his family members, to translate anything, to understand anything. If he or she has the documents, he can rightly understand, okay, what is written and all. So and also we try to fix something wherein a person can also understand what's in the image. So with ICANN, a person can also read an image. So most of the people are used to send good morning quotes or the motivational quotes. They can also read that from ICANN using OCR. So these are some of the features. And about maps, a person can also use maps to go through nearby places. There's a feature maps. For example, we have rightly placed and rightly segmented all the important places. We can say banks, ATMs, hospitals, or religious places. Whatever a person with single click can get the directions. And also a visually impaired person needs to understand his current location from time to time. So with ICANN, it is also possible that he can also understand about what is his current location by time to time, where is he standing right now. If he's traveling, he should know that where he's going. And Nimish, if you want to add about something this.
So Ed, this is the current offering which we are giving to our users. Now,
That's really good, and there's a lot to get into there. Well, you mentioned the translation thing, and that must be really powerful because it saves people having to get documents translated or explained to them. What engine are you using for that? Is that Google Translate or is it something else?
So all the services that ICANN is currently using for translation services, we have developed in ICANN from the scratch. So we are not reliant on any third-party services as of now.
Oh, so it does it itself. That's really good. And when you're trying to read a document or to scan it, do you get guidance from the app so that you know where you have to hold your camera or if you need to move it a little bit so it can see the document?
This is the feature which we want to integrate, and as of now, I can tell you the current situation that ICANN is in beta stage. And there are a couple of, like in a list, if I do the addition, that total feature comes up to a figure of 150 plus features. This features include the feature which you are telling right now. Basically it is called as edge detection, and we will add in a month or so to our application.
Oh, excellent! No, I think that will be really good. And when you do the maps and you go into the category and you look at religious services and then you start to navigate to it, does ICANN guide you there, or does it sort of hand you over to Google Maps or something like that? What does ICANN do and what does Google Maps do in that process?
All right. So basically, there are two parts out of it. Now, for a visually impaired person, first he needs to find a location in an application. So that is where ICANN comes into the role. Like we have made an so visually compatible environment, or should I say, Talkback compatible screens. That is why any person can just figure out. Let's say if he wants to go to restaurant, if he wants to go to hotel, search for any other places, he can do that. Once a user has figured out where he wants to go, you just click on this button and it will be redirected towards Google Maps. And when it's directed to Google Maps, it's gonna just speak out. Let's say if you're gonna take left, you're gonna take right. So we're gonna say to our users, sir, you just have to do 3 clicks in a button and you will get to your destination. So this is the process of ICANN Google.
Brilliant. So you set up where you want to go in ICANN, and then the directions to that place you get from Google Maps.
Got it.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned, the idea for this came about wanting users to be able to know where things were, on footpaths if something was traveling towards you. Is that implemented yet? Is that the surroundings feature, or how would that work if you want to turn that on?
So basically, for that situation, what we have done, we have run a beta test in our surroundings, in our local area only, with a few of the visually impaired people. We wanted to check this out in the testing level, how it's gonna perform. We are not talking about the production level. We are just talking about in the testing environment. And the testing environment results are so far so good. And we want to launch it, but before that, we are applying towards patent. Because this is a really a big feature and nobody is doing it. So we thought let's apply for the patent, and after some time, let's say in the January or February in the coming year, we will launch that feature.
Oh, brilliant. So you're testing it, you're sort of testing it locally at the minute, and then once all that's sorted and it's patented, you'll be able to roll it out.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. One of the things that we like to ask at app developers, particularly where something like OCR is involved and you might be scanning personal documents, how much stuff is done on the phone itself, done offline, and how much is done online and sent to servers?
So let's talk about where are the users coming from. So mostly 70% of the crowd is coming from overseas, and 30% crowd is coming from Indian regions, right? And in India, basically you require two languages, Hindi and English language. And in the overseas, you require many other languages like French, German, Arabic, etc., etc. So for the 30% crowd, we have enabled that if you do OCR, the processing will happen in the phone itself. That is an offline processing, right? But if you do some other languages, let's say Arabic, French, etc., German, etc., then it will require an online support. That is going to happen with the servers, like the third-party services, which are providing those services like German and French other. It will happen to those areas. So right now, 30% crowd is done totally offline. 70% crowd is done through the online mediums. That is how we do that.
So if I've got my English newspaper or my English bank statement, I OCR that. That's gonna get processed on my phone offline, is it?
Yeah, correct. We are actually quite speedily moving on that aspect. We want to make it on the phone base itself, because to be honest, I feel now although the world is growing with the speed of 5G, but although some of the areas doesn't have a proper internet connectivity, and if in that area, if a person wants to do an OCR or want to access any kind of feature, then he requires an active connection. And we moving forwards at this mission, we want to make this application like maximum offline. So we are quietly and speedily moving towards that area.
Great, that's really good. Before I carry on, I've got a few more questions. Austin, have you got any questions?
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions. The first thing is in the reading section. Does I can do handwriting recognition?
Okay, so let me just talk about a bit technical. So what happened that there are couple of options available in the outsourced expert, but actually those are not reliant, or those doesn't give you the best accuracy. If we integrate those options in the icon right now, then for a count we may have that feature, but in actual cases the accuracy is very low. Now let me tell you something very special of icon. I'm sure everybody over here are aware of that process of how object detection works. Right? Like we collect some lakhs of images of one object, and we label those images, and then we train a computer to recognize those images. Right? This is a very lengthy process, and this gives you the best accuracy. And in icon, we have something a user can just simply click a picture of any size object. The image will be uploaded to a server or right now in your phone, and within just 30 seconds or 1 minute, your model will be ready. So we are just from the scratch, we are building this model. And you have mentioned the point of handwriting recognition, right? So we are building our own database, right? We're gonna train our own models, and after some time, we're gonna implement to our users. That will gonna have maximum to maximum accuracy. So this is the workflow that for handwritten recognition we are opting.
So my next question is: does in the nearby places, does I can use any database or something? Because when I was trying the app in the morning, a lot of places in my area were missing. They were not shown on the list.
That's right. That's right. So basically, for that, we are using third-party services. We are using a database provided by the Google only, and we're just fetching the results out of it. So a lot of time, what happens now, latency rate is very low. And although we're gonna soon update on that part, I think there was some bug coming in our application. Many users have reported those bugs, and in a day also we're gonna update those bugs. And yeah, so maximum data is provided by the Google right now.
And my last question is: when you open the app asks you for a Google account first. That is okay, natural. But the app afterwards asks you for your phone number. So is there any reason for that?
Yeah, that's a we have a valid reason for that. I think Suransh, would you like to take that question?
Sure, Nimish. Okay, so there's a thing in ICANN that we are more focused on providing customer support to all the users. And we have a this very feature in ICANN where a person can request to call when a person is not understanding about the basic features of ICANN and he is trying to understand about the application. We have put in there a feature called request to call, wherein a person can request to call and can connect with the team so that if he or she is getting a problem, can be solved. Now, when he clicks on request to call, sometimes it happens that he forgets to write the correct number or he leaves that blank. So it leaves for the problem for the team to call him or her as a, to make them understand what is the problem. So that is the reason that we have initiated this, that a person can add a phone number so that even if he or she can request a call for something, then he gets a direct call. He doesn't have to, add something, the numbers and all, so that there's no need of, adding that number while request a call. So I think that answers your question.
Actually, I would also like to add a point over here. We had this system integrated in ICANN. So let's say if any user application crashes, right? The system is gonna give us the alert. That user application has been crashed. And to give the best customer support, what we guys have thought initially, we're gonna call users to whatever numbers is possible, and we're gonna tell the users, okay, so this has been reported, your application has been crashed, and we're gonna soon update that application. So it's gonna also make a good relation between the users and the company. So that is why we are in the first place asking a phone number for a user. And although I think that is just an option, that is not compulsory although. So yeah, that was also one of the reasons.
Okay, thanks, Austin, and really, really interesting to hear about that. I think it's good that you're not sort of having to enter a number for a callback, and it can just be pulled down as long as it's the device you want to be you phoned on. Yeah, that's probably quite helpful. I had a couple more questions. One was about the user interface and the design of that. I see you've gone for, you've got the categories on the screen and you double tap to expand them. I just wondered whether you'd considered any other options. I know a lot of apps have sort of tabs on the bottom of the screen, and then you have the in focused tab contents above that. I was just wondering what had guided you towards the UI design you'd gone for.
So in the UI design, this was very simple from the initial days, that we want to give a users to the best what they like, not what we like. We as a company like, right? So now let me tell you something. In the 3 months of spam period, we have changed our UI twice. Right now, the UI that you are saying is the most loved UI from the users that they are appreciating. Before that, we had another UI, like we had every screen and you have to swipe right to shift to another segment, another feature, right? So that was something a users was like, hey, sir, this is not working. Can you just change it? It's not very quick. So we thought something else. We want to create something that users love and users can easily indicate. And right now, the design is so simple that you can access any feature in less than a second here. So this gives us the experiment. We want to just experiment out what is working and what is not working. So yeah, this was the mind behind it.
And it's really good that you're that adaptable and flexible that you can change the UI so quickly after feedback. And it's you achieved an incredible amount in just the 3 months. My second to last question, I noticed that I think your original intention was to have a subscription model for the app, but you've had a very generous donation or sponsorship for one of your users, Mr. Sengupta. And I was wondering if you could tell me about that, how that came about, and about the man who sort of sponsored it or made that donation to make it possible for the app to be free.
Okay, so basically you are asked, okay, I got a question. So I'll speak a bit about it, and also want Sudhanshu, if you can add to my point. So what happens now, we are running a startup, right? And we are dealing with the visually impaired segment, and to what extent my learning is sees like in this NGO segment, everybody wants in the cost of free. Very less people wants to just pay for the cost, right? And when we are just approaching to the investors, we want to raise the first round of ICANN. The investors has given us the feedback that if you can generate a money, if you can generate a revenue from this segment, this NGO segment, bang on, your startup is gonna just boom on, right? So for to just test out whether users can pay a money or not, what we have done, we have done a small experiment under which a user can just pay 50 rupees per month, 50 rupees Indian currency for 1 month, and 150 rupees for a quarterly. And they're gonna have like full access to the application. So we have just tested this out, and the results are pretty amazing. Like we have not forced the users, or we have not limited the users. Although it has happened many extents, like user has just called us and they was like, sir, we don't want to pay right now. Can you just extend a validity like a month or so? And we're like, sir, no issues. We can extend your validity. And there were some users which was like, okay, sir, like I just love your application. In just a single day of usage, and they are paying the full amount, or they are requesting to pay the full amount for the year or so. So we have encountered with both of the users. Now, this was the segment, like the features that we are providing right now, the maps, the surrounding, and the read feature. We felt like this is the basic features, and we at the back end are not recurring any cost. So why don't we just give it to the free of cost to the users? So for that is why we have just make the application free right now. And we also had this premium services, which I was talking earlier, like for which we have applied for the and all that features. This is the pro features. So this will be coming in the next financial year. So this is how the payment structures work for the item. Sudhanshu, would you like to take this forward?
Yeah, sure. Now, Nimesh rightly said about how we encountered it both of the users where somebody wants to pay the full amount, and at the same time, a person doesn't even like that application consists of a subscription, that is a recurring subscription. Now, our initial motive was like we wanted to develop an application which is actually easing their day-to-day lives. Now, to understand this, we needed a lot of testers, or we can say a lot of users who are using the application. And to make this possible, me and Nimesh, took this decision about whether it incurs a lot of cost. But we took this decision so that a lot of users can enjoy the application while it's free, and also give us the suggestions. So we at ICANN, like I mentioned it before also, that we take suggestions and feedbacks very seriously. We try to answer each and every query. Even if you ask any ICANN user that who has put in a query, he knows that how we answer the queries. We use voice notes, we use audio interaction to most of the users to interact, so that there's no miscommunication happening. So we were getting a lot of users, but now while we made the application free, we started getting international users also. Now, before this, so I'll take you to the flashback. Before making this application free, we were highly active on LinkedIn about talking to new people, meeting to new people, so about sharing the ideas about the application. Now there were a lot of people who wanted to help to the cause. They were keen about helping us to about this cause, about what we were doing here. So there was this donor about Abhigyan Sen Gupta who met us on LinkedIn. He how do I put it? He was very interested about helping us with the journey about how we are helping visual impaired. So we introduced this gift donate model, wherein somebody can donate a subscription to other visually impaired, so that everyone can use the application. So there are a lot of underprivileged people who can't even afford a simple subscription, which is their basic needs. So that is the reason we introduced this gift and model subscription, wherein one person can pay for the other. Now, when Nimish put this in front of users, they loved it. They started, the most of the people who were capable of paying, they started at, okay, I will donate for 2 people, and the other was saying, I will donate for 20 people. So it doesn't matter how much they pay, but they are helping to the cause. So this is how we, with the flow of events occurred, we understood that how we can, make this gift and donate model successful. Yeah. So I think that answers your question, Ed.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. And I think that's really powerful, being able to use donations to support those that can't afford their own subscriptions. I think that's good. Although, as you say, you get varying reactions, don't you, from different users. Some who want to, they want to pay what the annual or lifetime or whatever it is, almost immediately, and then others who are a bit more reluctant.
Right.
My last question, and you've touched on it a little bit already, Nimesh, is the future really? You talked about edge detection for reading. You've talked about the feature in surroundings where you'll have location relative to objects. Is there anything else you want to trail? Any other features that you're looking to implement as you move forward in the next few months?
In the pipeline, there are a couple of features. So you have just named few of them, but we are actually planning to make a person. Let me just portray a picture in front of you so that you can visualize, and you can only tell me how many features are we planning. Right? Let's say if a person goes out of his home, nobody is there to guide him, right? And he's on its now he has to identify at what time the bus is coming. He has to catch a bus. He has to go to his office from an elevator, and he has to identify what in the elevator what the button is. He when he will go to his office, he has to figure out what is the desk in front of him. And another example would be, let's say if a person goes to a grocery shop and if he wants to shop anything, he can just identify the products out of him and know what is the expiry date of the product, and also could able to identify what is the currency, can do all sorts of mathematical operations. So basically, long story short, it is ICANN is not a product, but it's something which is a life of a user. We say to a user, we are just not providing to our product to you. We are giving an virtual assistance to you that is gonna help you out in every way possible. Count currencies, identify colors, identify buses, can tell you real time buses timing, and can identify numbers, can identify seat. You can just create your own object model without anybody's help. So this is the journey of ICANN. I'm sure you can connect with me.
Wow, that'll be really powerful. So you want ICANN and the object model then to kind of grow and fit round the user's own needs then, rather than being too predefined. You want it to be able to kind of sit alongside the user's life as he or she wants to use it, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, so I suppose I guess we are traveling on the same boat in the thoughts of feature, right?
Yeah, and I hope that's a really powerful aim, I think, and if it can get there, it'll be great. And as I say, it's already in the 3 months it's achieved such a lot. So do check out the app. The links, as ever, or the link to the Play Store will be in the show notes. Nimish, Suryanshu, huge thanks to you two both for the app and for giving up your Sunday evenings to come and talk about it. That's been really insightful, and we all, I'm sure, wish you best of luck. And yeah, users, please do try the app and feedback to the team about what you think. Thanks very much, guys.
Our pleasure, Ed. Our pleasure. It was great talking to you.
Edilas, I just want to say thank you so much for the blind users, Android users community. Thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you so much, Ad, for giving this international reach, international support. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, guys.
So to all the viewers listening to me and listening to ICANN conversation and the features that we're gonna bring on, I want to say one thing to all the listeners that it's just a span of 3 months that we have entered into this field, and I know the application which you're gonna use right now may be having a lot of bugs. Maybe you may be feeling like this feature and that feature should be added to the feature. I just want to make one conviction with you all that we had around 150 plus features in the pipeline, and that we're gonna release very soon. Like we are releasing 2 to 3 features every month, also fixing bug as soon as possible. For the users, you what you can do right now, you can just access the application and let us know what are your feedbacks, what can be added, or what needs to be removed, or what needs to be improved. I personally believe the application can become a life, not a product, by your feedbacks. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm just waiting for you all the feedbacks. So yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Next, we have our Talkback highlights from Warren.
Hi. As we continue with our theme of highlights from Talkback, we come to the 11th installment. In our last installment, installment 10, we talked about how to label and label buttons using Talkback. Today, in our 11th installment, we'll be talking about how to go about managing those custom labels. In other words, we'll be talking about how to export those things to a file or import those things when you reset your phone or when you are moving to a different phone and you want the same labels to be available to you on the apps that you had. For maximum compatibility, to be sure that what I'm about to demonstrate will be available on all devices or just about every device out there, I am using an older device to be sure. I am therefore using the Pixel 2 XL. Today's voice is brought to us by Heather via the a cappella group. I am now on my home screen and will now invoke the Talkback menu and go to the Talkback settings. Because I'm using a device that does not support a multi-finger gesture, I'll be drawing a line down and curving to the right to invoke the Talkback menu. I will now draw a line down and curve to the right.
Talkback menu. Read from next item in list.
Drawing that line and curving to the right with one finger brings up the Talkback menu. What we need to go to next is to find an item here that says Talkback settings.
Text-to-speech settings. Talkback settings.
I will now tap here on Talkback settings.
Talkback settings. Navigate up button. Audit list.
After tapping on Talkback settings, what we need to do is scroll toward the bottom of the screen and find and tap on Advanced.
Open Talkback Tutorial Advanced Settings.
Advanced Settings is what we're looking for, and I will now tap on Advanced Settings.
Advanced Settings. Navigate up button. Audit list.
We are now on the page of the Advanced Settings, and what we're looking for here is an item that says Customize Labels, or something to that effect. I'll put my finger down near the top of the phone and go from there.
Controls, heading, custom labels.
Custom labels is what we want, and we tap here.
Manage custom labels. Navigate up button. Audit list.
We are now on the page of custom labels, and here we have items like import, export, revert, and what labels we have in here. I'll put my finger down and show you what I'm talking about.
Manage custom labels. Import custom labels button.
Move my finger down.
Export custom labels button.
Move my finger down.
Revert imported labels button. Disabled.
In other words, if I have imported some labels and all of a sudden I decided I don't want those labels, so I want to revert them back to their defaults, tapping here would then revert those things back, and that imported labels will be gone. The last item here.
Talkback VLC 1 in list.
In other words, it is telling me that I only have one customized label. And this is the VLC media player that we use in installment 10. Let's begin though by importing custom labels. In other words, we're going to pretend that we have labels saved at some other location, and we will now go find those labels and import them. By the way, all your custom labels end with the extension .tbl. I will put my finger down and tap on Import Labels.
Import custom labels. Button. Audit list.
Tap here.
Recent. Show routes. Button.
By the way, if you have custom labels saved on your device, you could tap on where it says Show Routes, and from here, you could go choose the custom labels that you want to import. If, however, you have these custom labels on your Google Drive or some other cloud storage, then you'll have to navigate to that cloud storage. Let's first pretend that we have it saved somewhere on our device. Therefore, I will now tap on Show Routes.
Menu. Open from.
Tapping on Show Routes, we are asked where do we want to open it from. And of course, we want to go to our internal storage or maybe an SD card if your phone does have an SD card.
Downloads.
Let's say I have it in my downloads. I tap here.
Downloads. In list. Files and downloads. No items.
And I'm told that I do not have any files in my downloads, of course, because I don't have anything in my downloads. So I will now go back.
Manage custom labels. Import custom labels. Button.
This time, however, instead of going through my internal storage, I will go to my Google Drive. So I will tap on Import Labels again.
Recent. Show routes. Button.
Instead of tapping on Show Routes, I will now find and tap on my Google Drive.
Recent file. Dropbox.
We have Dropbox.
Drive. warcar@gmail.com.
I'm going to tap on the Google Drive.
Drive. Show routes. Button.
Tapping on Drive, we find the following.
Files from drive/warcar@gmail.com. My Drive. Row 1. Column 1. In grid. 2 rows. 2 columns.
I want to tap now on where it says My Drive.
My Drive. Show routes. Button. Audit grid.
Now that I have tapped on My Drive, I am now inside my G Drive Google Drive. I do have a folder in my Google Drive dedicated to custom labels for Talkback. I will find that folder and tap on it.
Audio. Rockefort. Row 2. Ins Mist Speak TTS Voxigan Back Talkback Labels. Row 4.
Here's my Talkback Labels folder. I tap here.
Talkback Labels. Show routes. Button. Audit grid.
Tapping on Talkback Labels, if you have multiple that you have created in the past, you'll see those things here, especially what month you created them and things like that. Putting my finger down, I find the following.
January 20_2017_ talkback custom labels 01202017.tbl 33.83 kilobits. January 20th, 2017. Row 1. Column 1. In grid. 2 rows. 2 columns.
In January 2017, I had uploaded some custom labels, and this amounted to like 30-something kilobits. If I move my finger to the right, I can preview those.
Preview the file January 20_2017_ talkback custom labels 01202017.tbl.
I want to find a bigger file that I had. I know I had a bigger one in here, and that was created sometime back in February.
Talkback custom labels 02102018.tbl 74.13 kilobits. February 10th, 2018. Column 2.
I have some custom labels that I uploaded back on February the 10th, and that amounts to 74 kilobits. I will swipe to the right or move my finger to the right to the preview and tap on it to go to the preview. In other words, it's going to show me all the files that I contained in my .tbl file.
Preview the file talkback underscore custom underscore labels underscore 021022018.tbl.
I do want to mention here in passing that when we tap on the preview, it's going to show those things to you as text. And I do want to mention here also in passing that each of the labels begins with the word package. I'll now tap here.
Current file is talkback underscore custom underscore labels underscore 021022018.tbl text drive. File type text out of grid.
I am now on the page that has all those labels in a text format. I want to mention here in passing that near the top right corner we have the More options, and tapping on that More options only pop up one item that says Open With. I'm already showing the text, so I'm not going to bother myself about tapping on the More options and go choose as to what I would like to use in opening the file because the file is already opened. I will now put my finger down so that you'll hear what I'm talking about, and it'll read all of the labels that I have. We're not going to go through all of that, but I just want to show you a quick example.
Labels underscore array, package underscore name, com.azure.authenticator, package underscore signature, 868D38D12DDF7D9926C6 AB50 Add2C294D53A7F6BD, view underscore name, next, label underscore text, next, locale, in, package underscore version, 103, timestamp, 1518066166862, package underscore name, com.id shower.readdictator.pro, package underscore signature, 48252 BB5 for 39A7DF 971A 648,029 E7 CDF8 add 804, view underscore name, menu, label underscore text, options, locale, in, package underscore version, 60,603,002, timestamp. 150.
There you go. That's an example. So the last part of every label ends with the timestamp. It says timestamp because it's all written together. And so in other words, if you're trying to extract a particular single label that you would like to send to someone, if you've opened it up in a text format, you want to make sure you begin with where it says package and where it ends with timestamp and with the last numbers that correspond to that. That's how you go about isolating a particular label that you would like to send to someone. Or else you just send the whole package and they will figure it out. If they have the apps, it will install it on their device. If they don't have the apps, it's not going to install it, or rather it wouldn't import those labels. I will now go back.
Talkback labels. Preview the file talkback underscore custom underscore labels underscore 021022018.tbl.
Now, if I want to import this label now, which is that of February the 10th,
Talkback underscore custom underscore labels underscore 021022018.tbl, 74.13 kilobits.
all I need to do here is tap here and the importation process will proceed. Let's tap here to import this file.
Import custom labels to Talkback. Choose whether you want to override or skip existing labels in the case of conflict, out of grid.
Upon tapping on that import, we are told that we could choose, for example, if there are already existing labels that this file contains, we could choose to override or skip those files that or labels that already exist. And now all that we need to do is either tap on override or skip. I will tap on override.
Override button. Manage custom labels. Import custom labels button. 331 labels updated.
I am told that my importation was complete. If I put my finger down here, I will find all the apps that have those labels. I put my finger down.
Talkback, Android system, 4, in list.
I have 4 Android system labels.
Talkback, com. Text voice. Text voicing, 2.
And
Talkback, Adobe Scan, 4.
you got the drift.
Talkback, Alaska, 2. Talkback, com.alphainventor.file manager, 2.
So you can see all the apps that I have labels for, and I could scroll and go through all of them for it.
Talkback, nextapp.endbutmethod.latin, 1. Talkback, teptf.ahar.bible_commentary.alstegmafsolers, 3.
Now that I have all these custom labels, if for some reason I decided that I do not want these custom labels anymore, all that needs to happen now is to simply tap on the one that says Revert Custom Labels. I'll put my finger down so you know what I'm talking about.
Revert imported labels, button.
All you have to do is tap on this button, which is found just below the Export Custom Labels. Above that, we see
Export custom labels, button.
And below,
Revert imported labels, button.
So all I need to do here is simply tap. I do want to mention here in passing, however, that when you tap on Revert Imported Labels, that while you are still on this screen, you'll still see those labels that we just imported.
Talkback, Pocket Casts.
However, if I go back, I'm going to go back.
Advanced settings. Custom labels.
I am back to the advanced settings, and if I tap on custom labels,
Custom labels. Manage custom labels. Navigate up.
and if I put my finger down,
Talkback, VLC 1 in list.
and I do not have those imported labels that we had. I had reverted those custom labels. However, while you revert them, you have to go back in order for those to disappear. But if you're still on that page, you'll still see those custom labels. Now let's talk about exporting custom labels. I only have one label here, and that's the one for the VLC media player. I will now find and tap on export, and it's the same process. We could export it to a local storage or to our Google Drive or some other cloud storages that we have.
Export custom labels, button, audit list. Share. Share.
When you tap on Export Custom Labels, we have the traditional Android sharing system pop-up, and we have to choose what we want to do. You could either choose one of your cloud storages or go choose on a file managing app and go save it to a local storage or to an SD card, for example. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm using my Solid File Explorer and go save it to somewhere on my internal storage.
Files by Good Solid Explorer. Save to.
Tab.
Save to. Internal memory. Button. Audit grid.
I tap on internal memory.
Internal memory. Button.
And let's just choose some place to just save it in just for testing purposes.
Alarms. Empty.
Let's say I save it in alarms.
Alarms. Empty. Internal memory. Button. Audit grid.
Now that I've tapped on alarm, I'll go toward the bottom of the phone and find where it says save to alarm or select alarm.
Select alarms.
Select alarms. I tap.
Saving in my files. File copy. Preparing operation. Manage custom labels. Export custom labels. Button.
I will now exit out of here and go bring up my file managing app and go see if indeed we have exported that thing to my alarms. So I'll now go home.
Pixel Launcher. Friday, October.
Now I'll go find my file managers.
Pixel Launcher.
Open Solid Explorer.
Opening Solid Explorer.
I am now in my internal storage with my Solid Explorer, and I saved it in alarms. Let's go check it.
Alarms. One item. October 15th, 2021. 11:24 and 22 seconds a.m.
Tapping here, here's what we've got.
Talkback _ custom _ labels _ 10152021.tbl 226b, October 15th, 2021, 11:24 and 22 seconds AM, row 2, in grid.
And that's the file I just exported. And now you know how to manage your custom labels by either importing, exporting, or reverting those custom labels.
Mariam, you love this bit, don't you?
Yeah, it's my favorite part.
She has to because, somehow we've become friends, right? We
Yeah,
used to be
sure.
that we could not see eye to eye,
Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to be friends because I'm preparing, secretly for our fight on, and our celebration and stuff. So, I'm doing
It's
it
nice to see Mariam come around after all these years and oh my gosh.
All I'll say is with friends like that, who needs enemies? And finally this week, we have the My Android Journey section. And I'm delighted to say that we're joined by my former school friend, Fee Dunn. Fee, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, good. Yeah. Great grey weather here today, though. It's been a bit meh. But, other than that, it's all good. Yeah.
Excellent. Warren, do you want to drive the car on My Android Journey for a bit?
It is my favorite segment, and thank you so much for actually agreeing to come on and talk about your Android journey story. Something we haven't heard, for maybe a couple or so episodes now that we haven't had anyone come on to talk about their Android journey story. And thank you so much for doing so. So I would, like you to kind of take us down that road and talk to us about when you started on Android, all the difficulties you encountered and things like that. And, let that British wrath, just rip. You are throwing that wrath out there on Google. Let it rip.
Sometimes people call me Fiery Fee at certain times. That has happened in the past. Yes. Well, it goes back beyond Android, really. I originally was so thrilled when Nokia made Symbian phones and somebody else made Talks that you could put on there as a screen reader for the phones. And so I loved those. I had loads of different ones. And then eventually I moved over to the iPhone. And actually I started with an iPod Touch because I was like, touch screen. But so I thought, I'll get something where you don't have to actually answer calls for now and then get used to it. And then I went to an iPhone. But I really liked the sound of Android. And I bought myself a Samsung Galaxy Europa. Does anybody remember those? It had a touch screen and a joypad and a couple of other buttons. It was quite a small phone.
It's called the Europa?
It was really years and years and years ago, like 10 years ago or something, maybe more. It was a kind of cheapy pay-as-you-go plasticky thing.
Well, they were all very plasticky,
Yeah. And it was about the size of, you could probably get 3 of them into a current sort of flab type phone. But they were a bit thicker. Anyway, it wasn't very good. Android back then wasn't really. There was a Talkback screen reader, and there was another one which doesn't exist anymore, and I can't remember the name of it.
Maybe it was Spill.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, that's right. And I loved the idea of being able to change your screen reader and things like that, but I couldn't. The phone just wasn't that great. I'd also like the fact that at that time you could change the battery. So if your battery went wrong, you could have a new one and not have to send it anywhere. And I wish they still did that, but nobody seems to anymore. Then I had a Cha-Cha, which I think was HTC.
Yes.
And I liked that because it had a keyboard.
So
and
you had a Cha-Cha?
It was a dance, the HTC Cha-Cha.
I was going to say, it's a dance, isn't it?
It was a beautiful dance.
It was also a phone. Yeah, it's a good job I had it as a phone because I did tap dancing, but other than that, my dancing abilities are, I'm better off with a phone than a dance, really. But yeah, it had a QWERTY keyboard. It was really small buttons, a bit like a BlackBerry, And I loved that. But it also, the bottom half was a keyboard, the top half was a touchscreen, and it was quite awesome. But again, a bit slow, a bit clunky. Gave it to my mum in the end and used something else. And then I decided to try again in about 2018, probably, roughly, I think. Nokia 5, when was that? About 2018?
Yeah, the Nokia 5, back in 2018.
Yeah, I decided to try it with Android, and I was thinking about getting a Samsung Galaxy, but they were quite pricey, and I didn't want to spend the money on that if I just couldn't stand Android at all in the first place. So I had a Nokia 5 for my birthday and tried it for a while, but it was a bit slow. And then I discovered from a friend that you could record in stereo on the Samsung Galaxy S9 and those kind of phones. So I got one of those, but that wasn't Talkback. That was Samsung's voice assistant. And actually that was quite a deliberate decision because I wanted to be able to mute not Talkback, the speech, in order to read Braille without the phone yabbering all the time. And I also thought that being able to pause and unpause media with the 2-finger double tap would be good. And at the time, I think you can do that with Talkback now, but you couldn't then. But I got my S9 and I've been using it for ages. I also got a Galaxy A40 just because I could. Time was when I was using all the Symbian phones, people knew me as Fiona the Phonorack, which I spelt with an F, so it's like Fiona. But
why didn't you just go for Fiona Rack?
Because then it just sounds like I like myself lots, which is a bit weird.
That is true.
That sounds a bit weird.
You're good, girl.
And then last week I got myself a Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. And the reason I didn't go for the S21 because you can't put a memory card in it, and that annoyed me. And people keep saying, but you can use the cloud, you can have your stuff in the cloud, but I like to know where it is. And we had a demo the other week, didn't we, of what happens when a big business goes wrong. Facebook. What if that happens?
You can say that again.
And what if Google does that and I can't get my music? No, I want it on and my Audible books and things. I want them on a memory card. And I want to be able to, because memory cards are quite cheap, really. Whereas if you get a phone with bigger memory, that can cost quite a lot more, even per month if you've got a contract or something, and that's just annoying. So I really like my Galaxy S20 FE. I still don't like Braille very much, unfortunately, as you might have gathered earlier on, because apart from everything else, when you use BrailleBack, whenever you connect your Braille machine, it makes this horrible chiming noise. And whenever you disconnect it, it makes this horrible other chiming noise. And that's fine if you could turn it off, but I don't know if you can. And someone's solution to it for me was, plug headphones in. Come on.
But come on, Fiona, you like music, don't you? That's a nice musical note there, Come on, girl.
Not only does Fiona like music, but she's a very accomplished singer.
Thank you.
Seriously accomplished. I'm not just saying she can hold a tune on a karaoke night. She's a proper singer.
I'm a musician. That's my thing. That's what I do.
Yeah. Do you have any amusing war stories from the setup of your S20 fan edition that you care to share with us?
I do. That's why you did ask me the question. Yes.
Good. Let us hear it.
That was good fun or something. So I like the vocalizer voices, and the voice I particularly like and have on my phone is Serena. Incidentally, they give you a trial on vocalizer voices when you first ever use them, unlike that Braille program. What's that about? If it's 10 quid, give people a trial of 7 days or even a day. Come on. you know.
I think
Anyway,
it has a trial, doesn't it? I like to think it does. I'm not sure. I thought it
No,
did.
ABK doesn't. It
doesn't?
ABK doesn't.
No.
Nah, that's a shame.
Exactly.
Okay,
They need to sort that
ABK
out.
guys, if you're listening, you need to give people a way to try it, because I think that people will buy something if they actually could try it, because it wouldn't make sense for me to go dump $12 on something that I'm not sure if it's going to work for me or not. You know what I mean?
no, I wouldn't. But anyway, so my setup, well, it all went very well for a while. Then I used the Smart Switch app, which is a Samsung thing, to get stuff off your old phone, which in this instance was my A40 that I'd been using with Vodafone before. That was all fine. But then I went into the settings for the speech, and it gave me Vocalizer as a choice that I could choose. And I thought, oh, okay, Smart Switch must have transferred Vocalizer across. Great. So I chose it. That was a mistake, because suddenly my Android phone had turned into a Quaker. It was completely silent. So for those who don't know, that's what you do in a Quaker meeting. There's a lot of silence, which can be quite nice in a Quaker meeting, not so much in a phone when you need a screen reader. I had to go to the Vodafone shop, and the man, luckily I knew exactly what I needed to do, and the man helped me to change it back to the Google Voice so that I could then install Vocalizer. But my comment on this is that really, if the voice data isn't installed, I don't think that the option to choose it should be available, because that was a mess.
See, the problem here, Faye, is that I've always argued this point. I don't see this need of, separating the app from the voice data. It's absolutely stupid. They should all be bundled together. I don't care how long it takes me to download it, because if you don't, something like what you just talked about, could happen to someone and they're stuck. You don't have someone to help you. Of course, you have to go to some God knows where, some phone shop somewhere, and that's no bueno. So my argument is that bundle the voice data with the APK, so we don't have to install the APK and go download the voice data, blah, blah, blah. It's all stupid.
At least a basic voice, even if it's a bit of a rubbishy one, that'll make you need another one, just so that it speaks something.
I think that, well, at least I've had that experience on the Pixel, but it always defaults back to
That's true.
the Google
on
TTS.
A Pixel, it'll default to your Google TTS.
Yeah.
It didn't. What
same.
happened was, every time I did my PIN, the Samsung voice came back.
I think it was that voice assistant playing hide and seek with you.
But after the PIN, it went to just silence again, because the vocalizer had started but not started.
Yeah,
it
and
started
I think,
and then gone,
I think
the
reason is because you didn't have the Google TTS or Google Speech Services. You have the Samsung TTS instead. But if you had a Google TTS, if it was a phone that comes with a Google TTS, this wouldn't have been the case.
It is on there.
I don't think it's the Google TTS. I think it's Talkback. I think it's a feature of Talkback. It'll default to the Google.
Well,
but if you don't have Google TTS on there, because Samsung phones do not come with a Google TTS.
They do now.
That's
this one
Actually,
did anyway.
It's a feature of Google TTS, because I was using my commentary screen reader and I had a problem with my voices. That was actually a couple of days ago, and it switched back to Google TTS. And I have a
so maybe I need to change my if it doesn't work, switch to this voice to a Google one then instead of a Samsung one. But I'm not planning on uninstalling Vocalizer voice again, just so I can tell you whether
you don't want to do that.
No, life's too short. The other problem I had was that I had hidden the screen because I don't need to see it, and I don't particularly want other people looking at what I'm doing if I'm, out in public or something. So I thought, I can't use something like Ira, which is why I went to the Vodafone shop, because I could stop Talkback completely, but then I couldn't easily interact with the phone. And what was really annoying was I couldn't, on an Apple phone, you do a triple 3-finger tap to turn the screen curtain, they call it, on and off. But as far as I could tell, there wasn't a similar gesture for the Android phones.
I think there is now.
No, I think there is.
Yeah,
I think there is. And most especially on a Samsung phone, though, there should be.
I couldn't find anything, and I did look for ages because it was really irritating.
You go into you go into the Talkback settings, and then
Well, if she couldn't do that, she had no speech.
Oh yeah. But to set it up though for future, you go into
go to something, customize it, set it to something.
I customize gestures, and then you choose a gesture you want to use, and then go through all the options. But I'm like 99% sure that's one of the options to hide.
Well, I looked the other day, and I didn't find. I looked through all of them for this, so that in future, and I couldn't find dimming the screen anywhere. I might have been, having a moment, but I did look because this was annoying, and I wanted not to have that again.
It's called hide screen in Talkback, I think, isn't it? It's in the menu.
I know, but there was nothing. But it wasn't a thing I could choose. What I did do, though, for some reason, the 3-finger single tap wasn't bringing up the Talkback menu. So I did set a 4-finger double tap to, or was it a triple? Anyway, something, 4-finger something to bring up the Talkback menu, because that was the other thing. I couldn't bring that up in the pin screen so that I could show the screen instead of hiding it. But they need a gesture.
I do think it would be good. Yeah, I think it would be good if Vocalizer implemented something that eSpeak has, which is it will download a voice, especially if you've, it knows that you've bought the app because it's kind of installed. So when you
I think Acapella is similar as well.
No, Acapella also has voice data that will be treated like media. So if it's selected as a speech engine, it should try and ping a server for a voice, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think it does.
No, eSpeak does though. If you select eSpeak first, No, Acapella doesn't, and Vocalizer doesn't, but eSpeak does.
Yeah, I've not tried. I didn't know eSpeak was on Android actually, so that's interesting. So thank you for that. I'm learning a lot.
It's horrible though.
I
don't like eSpeak.
That'll be why I didn't try it. But I found you guys because I was trying to find out things about Talkback and stuff, because I'd been using Voice Assistant for the last 2 or 3 years. So I wanted to know more about Talkback, and I typed into Google blind Android users. I had no idea that was the name of this podcast. But when I just searched stuff to do with Talkback, all I got was things about how do you turn off this blooming thing kind of articles, cited people who got annoyed with it. So I thought, well, I'll search for blind Android users. And then I was like, oh, it's a podcast. Oh, wow. How did I not know about this? So, I found you by mistake, but it was a good mistake. So you obviously picked the right name.
Direct hit.
Yeah, it was. It was. And then I was like, Ed Green. Oh, blimey. I know that voice.
The voice and the person.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Fee. A great Android journey as ever. Austin, how do people find us?
The people can find us by going on to our website. It is blindandroidusers.com. They can email us with their questions or feedback by sending in an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. Subscribe to our mailing list, Blind Android Users, plus subscribe at groups.io. The links for the Telegram group, Clubhouse, YouTube channel, and Twitter will be in the show notes, and also the links for the form for our special events will be in the show notes. So that is it from us this week.
See you next week, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. And that has been another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. As always, we appreciate hearing from you. You send those email messages to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. For those My Android Journey stories, we encourage you to send those to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. Until we see you in our next episode, you have a wonderful day.